All right.
All right, recording.
There we go.
All right, so welcome to our Zoom meeting. I am Kimberly Martin, Content Area Social Studies.
And I am Kyle Jordan, content area social studies as well.
So we picked the topic, and it's a files decoded. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So first question is, what did you like and dislike about the topic and the story?
I thought it was great. I've been interested in NSA surveillance and how they've been doing it for a while now. I got interested around when this article came out in 2013. I think there's a lot of interesting topics brought up, but I think I don't like how much the NSA is surveilling us. I really don't like how they're just accumulating all of this massive amount of metadata because, government is supposed to be impartial and government is supposed to stay out of people's business. And at the same time, government is made up of people. So individual people who have access to this information could potentially try and use it for personal gain. And I think that that ability is not weighed against our civil liberties enough.
Yeah,
What about you?
I would agree. I liked the article. I'm probably one of those Americans that is super naive. I knew about Snowden and I've followed it briefly, but I haven't been like really interested in like digging deep into it. So this was definitely good for background and giving me just how like the summing up of who's involved, how people are getting this done, or what entities are surveillancing us, and how big the scope of their power is. So I thought the article was really great in giving all that information to citizens like me who really, I just feel like I'm such a small person, and I don't have anything to hide, like they said. Like that was one of the reasons of like, if you don't have anything to hide, then you shouldn't be worried about it. So I have the idea of like, I don't have anything to hide, but at the same time, the way they just are, learning about you is kind of creepy.
Oh
And
yeah.
by your phone records, not even recording your emails, like what is the content that is like said in the email, but who are you talking to, and how do you move, and where are you going when these calls are made, and all that stuff. That was a lot of information that I didn't know they were, collecting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I disliked anything about the story. They had some good quality people who are involved in the topic that had some good information to give, and little tidbit interviews. And I really loved how the article was set up. And we were talking about how cool the actual website is, and how you scroll down and the little videos kick in, all these graphs kick in.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot, but it's not so dense. And it's set up really well that you can actually follow along.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah. I thought, just looking at an article like that, where it has chunks of reading, and then there's individual videos or little vignettes, and then they also have exploratory information to where, like, at first I was like, oh, 50 friends, and then you go and how it extrapolates with the second degree friends, third degree friends. It's really interesting. But then I went and I was like, oh, wait, how many Facebook friends do I have? And I have like 260. And it quickly jumped to over, 7 million people are my tertiary friends. And it's like something like that, if we found some tools like that, they could be really, really powerful to do like a digital lesson and just have this to where it's like, okay, guys, we're going to have Chromebooks today. I've constructed a digital lesson. There's going to be aspects of listening to videos. There's going to be some tools you can use to explore these ideas a little bit. And I think that'd be like a really powerful tool to get kids interested, right? And this is a perfect example of why we need to learn how to use these new digital tools, because if we can construct something like that, think about how much more interesting a lesson would be to so many of our kids if we have interactive digital tools, videos, interviews, um, along with articles written. So I think that'd be just awesome. Just be really cool. So I loved reading the story just for the inspiration that gave me, because like I really want to try and
Oh
make
yeah.
one of these articles like this.
And I loved how
Um,
they had like the legal documents in there, so you could actually read that legal part of the
oh
legal
yeah,
case that was filed. Like how
right.
cool, like you could add primary resources and documents in there,
Mhm.
and they can scroll through legal cases, and like you can pull out like vocabulary, like wow words, like for your
Mhm.
lesson, like they would have to pull out their own wow words. And then at the end of the lesson, like how cool of it would it be for them to have like a Zoom meeting from across the room with another student and then record it, and that was their exit ticket. Like how
Oh yeah,
awesome
that
would
would be
that
really cool. And then just like drop it on a Google Drive for
be?
the
Yeah.
teacher, and then it's just really easy to go through. That'd be so cool. And then like I mean, all these things that we're learning about, like I was just thinking, okay, yeah, I wouldn't be able to make these super nice graphs that change as you scroll over them and everything, but like I mean, I could make a picto chart that
Right.
shows like the flow of something in history, that this led to this, and but having that pictorial representation set into a piece after explaining it with just writing would be awesome. And like I think that could really help a lot of kids. um and then, like, I mean, we could potentially try and teach them how to do this to where eventually this could be a summative assessment at the end of a unit. And it's like documenting everything they learn
Oh
and
yeah.
everything that they've gone through, which would be just really awesome. So I think we could pop down to maybe the second question now. How might this topic or story be used to shape your own teaching and learning? So we kind of already went into that. I
Yeah.
think this would be a really awesome example, an exemplar piece to try and base some digital lessons off of, which would be really awesome. But I think it would be really awesome to have this piece in a civics class
Oh my
where
gosh.
we're talking about personal freedoms and civil liberties and things like that, and how they can be. I mean, really, they're doing this for 100% the right reasons, to keep America safe, to do all those things. But at what point is doing things for the right reasons in the wrong way not acceptable any longer?
Right.
So I think this would be an interesting. I think this would be a really interesting piece to give the kids, and then have them write an opinion piece on just the amount of oversight. Like, there's any number of things you could have them write an opinion piece that could harken back to this, which would be great.
Yeah, and it would take up a good 90-minute block.
Oh yeah.
And there could be some good supports with this digital stuff. I think that students. I have a few students in my own class that have access levels. Their level is like a 2 in their native
Hmm.
language and in English, and so having them sit in class and they listen and sit to lectures and they're supposed to take notes, and it's just
Hmm.
not. I can just tell that they're not making connections
Hmm.
not really understanding the full scope. They can get it, and luckily my teacher speaks Spanish, so she like throws in like Spanish words to help them understand. But their scores are so low that writing is a strain for them, and their
Yeah.
handwriting is just the actual physical aspect of writing is a challenge for them. So I think being able to have them record in whatever language that is good for them, and maybe just give supporting evidence, I think that would be a great support and a great way for them to be really engaged, because half the students that don't have super strengths or confidence in their writing or their reading, they could do something like this and be really into it and feel engaged and feel like they're doing their part in really learning it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, if you go down to the end, with those interviews at the end, just how it's laid out, there's super tiny short snippets, and it's each individual person talking about a specific topic. So
Right.
just having it like, I mean, just having things laid out that way would be so beneficial for kids who are English language learners, because they they could really just kind of listen and hear and piece together the feelings of these individual people. Um,
Looking at question 3, I was kind of thinking that was kind of like one of our biggest takeaways
yeah.
was like how to apply this to our own classroom and to give support to those students. But as far as the article being a big takeaway, it just makes me wonder and makes me more aware of how I'm moving and like
Mhm.
what I'm displaying. Like I'm sure nobody's like really paying attention to me. Then, what do we have? What are we doing? But
Right, right, right.
like what information am I giving off, and what websites that I'm visiting are, what kind of picture am I painting for the government or whoever wants to look?
I mean, not even the government, because here's the other thing, right? The government has to be allowed to gather this metadata. Companies, the people who are the internet providers, who are the content providers, who are platforms like Facebook and YouTube, they're already gathering metadata.
Oh yeah. And then
Like,
they have all
the
these.
amount of metadata that Facebook gathers is insane. And then it's also interesting because it's like, okay, so I mean, what happened just the other day? 13 Russians are
Yeah,
now
indicted.
being charged with meddling in our democratic process and like attempting to spread propaganda and things like that. And it's like, I wonder how Facebook, uh, like if Facebook noticed that when they were scouring the metadata and seeing how all these little interconnections were being made. And it's like, well, I mean, they probably got paid. They probably got made a pretty penny off of the advertisements from the videos and propaganda that were being spread, that spread like wildfire. And I mean, Russian agents were the ones spreading this propaganda and trying to get as many people to see it.
Right.
And did Facebook see this trend in the metadata and didn't do anything because it benefited them, or did they completely ignore it and did they just not see what was happening in their system? So it's really interesting to see how, like, in because this is completely a 21st century problem,
Right.
and I don't think we completely have a 21st century solution to the amount of data and evidence that everyone is just leaving in their wake online.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing I was thinking about is how the government required these businesses to have the backdoor encrypt to
oh,
break
really?
through the encryption. So
Hmm.
if the
Hmm.
government has these backdoors,
Hmm.
obviously someone who has, ill intentions can also find these
Oh, yeah.
backdoors. I'm pretty sure they didn't shut the door after they entered it, you know,
No, no,
quote
no.
unquote. So
Yeah.
that's how like all of our data was, breached in so many different, different aspects. I forget which big company our data was
Was
breached.
the
Oh, that.
Equifax.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it. So,
And
I mean,
like it's
obviously someone else found that door.
hundreds of millions of people. Like, I still, because a school district that I was a substitute in Texas, because they used Equifax to protect their records, now my records that the district had that I was working for were compromised, and I still get emails about how they're attempting to secure the Equifax data that was, and it's like it's nuts. It's there's nothing. I didn't do anything that
Right,
was risky and allowed my data be taken. It was a company didn't have adequate security, and thus my data was taken.
right.
So it's really, it's this interesting thing, and it's this frustrating thing that I think we should get our students to talk about and really assess. What is the trail they're leaving through cyberspace as they go and see different things and they look at different things, and it's like, at what point, I could easily see it happening that, a kid in one of our classes now, bright kid, goes to the wrong website, reads the wrong thing, all that, and then somehow that's brought against them
Oh,
later,
yeah.
you know,
They put
and if
everything
not,
out there.
mhm,
Everything is recorded and everything is posted. So
yep,
you're just putting so much risk for your personal welfare in the future that,
Mhm.
they're not thinking about now by I posted this or I'm disclosing my location in this part of my life.
Oh, right.
So it's just, I mean, now I feel like that's something we're going to have to end up teach. There's going to be a course in that in the future. Like, how do you protect yourself and your welfare? Like, that's going to have to be part of social studies or something.
Yeah.
So,
Digital literacy, like digital literacy and an understanding of what it means to be a digital citizen, because
oh yeah,
that's what we're seeing, is that we are no longer purely citizens of the United States. We are citizens of the internet, and
oh yeah,
our actions and our beliefs are going to be tracked and followed and paid attention to. So, um, I think this is really interesting. Like, just from a transmedia standpoint, like, holy crap, this is awesome. Like, this
yeah.
article is amazing, just how they set it up. I want to try and use this kind of article as an exemplar to, like, how to make 21st century lessons, because I mean, what, in 10 years, probably every kid is either going to have some sort of tablet or laptop provided by the school that they will be responsible enough to take care of because of whatever reasons.
Right,
And it's like the technology isn't leaving our classrooms. It's only going to become more and more integrated. And I
right.
think that us teachers of this generation are going to be like the first pioneers of trying to use this technology in a more holistic way. So,
Definitely.
mhm. All right. So, do you want to call it at that?
Yeah, I end the meeting however they do it in the.
Yeah. We have a sign off? Should we clap on three?
Sure. Wait,
Yeah.
where's the record? Yeah.
All right. All right. So that was our time. Thank you very much for anyone who's watching this. Um, on three, let's clap.
All
One,
right.
two, three. Ah, well.